hit the preview stream in order to get this to work. It's the fucking dumbest thing. Just hit the button. Yes, I am sure. There we go. And we are live. One day I will figure this thing out. It's not going to be today.
I love this.
Man, that's
I love this moment. There it is.
Like,
there it is.
Dude,
I'm
all right,
gonna
it's working.
do-
Yeah, ladies and
Oof, my
gentlemen,
voice.
you are joining us now live with Locked and Loaded. We are your hosts, Sergeant Buck and Smart Pig, and our wonderful program manager, Pav. And insert false enthusiasm here, and
Whoopee!
let
None of
you
us are
guys,
drunk. We're not gonna pass out on stream this time,
No,
right?
I promise you this time there will be at least 80% less daddy floor bucks.
Good. All right.
I mean, I do have vodka, but it's been distilled with ginger ale by about 200%. So
Just
I am-
just drink it slow, Buck. Drink it slow.
I'm actually drinking a strong wine. It's a blueberry shine made from a local orchard around here. It's pretty tasty. It's got a bit of a burn to it, but that's part of the blueberry for it. It's tasty.
I am not drinking any
Too bad.
alcohol because I felt like Buck would be drinking for all three of us. So
Well, yeah,
That's
I
not
mean,
happening again.
unfortunately, he does that sometimes.
I'm just gonna keep giving you shit for it, Buck. I'm sorry.
yeah,
We're always going to be giving Buck shit for that. Holy crap! An entire hour unsupervised on his channel because he couldn't handle his drink. It was
Oh,
Not at all.
I think that was closer to 2 hours.
well, at least you had fun, right?
About as well. Hopefully, less fun than the audience had.
I don't know. I don't know. I think they had some fun with it. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into this because I am personally on a time constraints because somebody can't work on the when he's supposed to work and not work when he's not supposed to work.
Fucking day jobs. I tell you. So all right.
Yeah. Well, I'm a student and I have to get up at 5 in the freaking morning. So let's
Oof.
start with the first one. What's the first?
Why take those classes so early? All right.
We'll
The first one. Nope. The first one is okay. The Atheist Conference is dead. So, for those of you guys don't know, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was about to ask you what atheist conference? What is this about?
This is tech. This is a kind of a conference that I've heard some people explain as just a response to what happened at Mythos Milwaukee, and so basically it was something to promote atheists, and there was a lot of hype in quotation marks created around it. Steve Shives was going to be a big talker there, and there was other great, fantastic people who were also going to be there. I don't remember who they were, but to me it almost felt like this just showed up and died.
I've never even heard of the atheist conference, but I can understand what it's trying to do. It's kind of like the quote unquote Kilroy event to was it freaking
Yes, the Kilroy
It was
event.
kind of Kilroy for atheists, which is is a little redundant.
both of them seem to have flopped at this point, as far as I'm
Just this
tracking.
one had a little bit less drama, but
All right, let me pull up this article really quick so we can actually get into it. Let's see where is my list here?
yeah, it is in New York. There, so just
I'm
it
not seeing-
was. All right, are we gonna
I'm not
What's it?
seeing the link. Oh, there it is. Sorry.
Took me a little bit to find it.
All right, who wants to kick things off?
I say we let Daddy Floorbuck start.
All right. I mean,
Well,
we better
that's
get all we
definitely-
can out of him now because
Right?
he's very functional.
Well,
Oh,
that's
man.
stuck now, hasn't it?
It has.
Okay, first paragraph. As some of you may have read, here or elsewhere, I was co-organizing an event this upcoming summer called the Atheist Conference, or TAC for short. It was supposed to be the first major atheist event held in New York City. I was supposed to participate in 2 events there. The first was to moderate a debate between atheist Justin Schieber and Christian David Wood on the existence of God. The second was to host a panel discussion called Make Atheism Great Again about how atheists can better respond to the arguments for God and improve their critical thinking skills. It was to be shared with Justin again and the counter-apologist, whoever the hell that is. It would have been a fucking awesome panel. But none of this is... Make sure it's... Okay, it's all squared up now. But none of this is going to happen now because the event has just been cancelled. The reasons why are complicated, but it started out difficult enough. The atheist community has splintered into a million shards in recent years. There are the atheist feminists and the atheist anti-feminists, the social justice warrior atheists, and the anti-social justice warrior atheists, the pro-PC atheists and the anti-PC atheists, the pro-Trump atheists, anti-pro-Trump atheists, split over Gamergate, Elevatorgate, whether we should organize or whether we should even call ourselves atheists at all. The divisions go on. And guess, of course, who has to come on and
wait a
kill
second.
this thing.
Wait a second.
just-
Whether or not they should call themselves atheists or not at all.
Is
What
this,
This just sounds like somebody didn't like the quote unquote dichotomy and just went it like to a whole nother level of just trying to. All right. You're in this group. Doesn't matter if this group has like 1 or 2 people. You're in that group. You're in this group. You're in that group. You're in that group. at a certain point.
I mean, well, it just it's kind of stupid. I mean, you're either a theist or you're an atheist.
Well,
Of the theists, you have the Gnostic theists, the agnostic theists, and then of the atheists, you have the Gnostic atheists, and then you have the Gnostic atheists. The only difference is how much you believe, or lack thereof of said belief.
right. But I don't know if there's just a complete dichotomy of just only 2, and even within that framework. But no, it's just this feels like they're just mixing. Like, atheism has to do with belief in God, and the rest of this is just politics. It doesn't. I don't know.
yeah.
It does. It seems just way overly complicated, and a lot of it.
So basically, they had issues with metropolism, and it kind of made things fall apart.
Probably.
All right. Please continue, Buck.
Yes.
All right. Early on, we invited atheist YouTuber Steve Shives to speak at TAC on a panel about YouTube atheism.
And there's your first mistake.
Do we need another fucking category for this shit? We gave him the ability to control who's on the panel, as he wouldn't.
There was your second mistake.
On it. Yes, as he wouldn't participate on it with anyone who strongly disagreed with him.
And that was why it was a mistake.
Well, it's just like, could you imagine being like, all right, you're going to a conference, it's going to be about debates, it's going to be about the conversation, we're here to like put ourselves out there, and then the one guy that you bring in is like, I don't want to talk to anyone who has any disagreement with me whatsoever. At that point, you're just going to be like,
that's kind of not really the point of panels to begin with. I mean, you have to have people who have differing views, but are still relatively aligned in order to talk about the subject. And usually, on a panel, you'll have a couple of people who just completely disagree from the start. I mean, that's basically what panels are, isn't it? Am I mistaken?
Well, at least in this sense.
Well, I mean,
Apparently.
you don't have to. I mean, it would if he was just going on there to just sit there and like present a speech. I think that's what Shoehead and Armored Skeptic did in Mythicist Milwaukee. They prepared a speech and they got up there and they told their speech. And I think they took questions from the audience. I didn't see it, or it's been so long that I don't remember. But if the whole point is he's there to have a panel like kind of like with there was a panel like if we all remember VidCon, that panel with Boogie on it is the one I'm gonna pick. You know, because you had Boogie, you had Anita Sarkeesian. Wasn't Cat Black on that panel too?
No,
you
I
had
don't think Kat was on that. Wait, was she?
Oh, okay.
Maybe she was. I don't know. I don't remember. It was a while ago. I've had too much brain cells killed by my drinking habits since then.
Right there with you.
But
I mean, I know the only two people that I know for sure was on that panel was Boogie and then Anita Sarkeesian.
Right. They made the biggest stink. Well, Anita Sarkeesian made the biggest stink. Boogie was just being Boogie.
I think Cat Black was on there too, but she hardly said anything as far as I can remember.
Right, and so like what's the point? And I don't think all of them agreed with each other, especially like Boogie. Boogie didn't agree with Anita, and there were points where they would bring something up, and then like they would disagree. That's how you create a good conversation between people. You don't want everybody disagreeing with each other on the panel. Then it's just a bunch of dick sucking. So if you're just gonna put Steve Shives on there, and you're gonna be like, all right, no one that disagrees with me can be on this, I think I'd look at him and be like, all right, are you gonna pick the panel members? Like, because this is gonna be a little bit hard with how much he disagrees with people.
Yeah. Fucking of course.
Next paragraph.
What was okay? I think I hadn't finished this one, so naturally he picked people whose ideology was very much in line with his own, and immediately we got slack by the anti-SJW wing of the atheist community, who all told us that our speakers were very one-sided in the pro-SJW direction. Now that's a bit of a, well, I mean, for them to just invite Shives and then to get mad at the conference, it's like, wait, hold on. I mean, I don't know about anything about the previous speakers that were mentioned and what their leanings are as far as social justice is concerned, but yeah, inviting Shiverino was a mistake. So there is no doubt about it that Shive's panel was very pro-SJW, no doubt. But it would have been moderated by Lee Moore, TAC's founder, and the plan was for him to be the sole voice of criticism against some of the shadier tactics Shives is guilty of. Also, Shives' panel was just one event at the conference. It wasn't all we were about. We weren't going to put on a social justice warrior conference. Social justice issues weren't going to be the focus of the conference. Trying to patch the atheist community's rifts.
What's going on?
He took his finger off the push the talk key, probably because his roommate came in.
What the fuck?
Alright.
I had my finger on the button. What the fuck is this shit?
It's got a timeout, dude.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you gotta take your finger off of it and take a breath every once in a while.
Nah, I'll just pass
it
out.
It cares for you.
No, it's supposedly supposed to prevent hot miking when you're doing stuff in case your key's stuck.
That's actually nice.
Okay.
Where did it cut me off? Let's see. I'll start the paragraph.
Somewhere in the middle of that paragraph, actually. Let's go with the "we weren't going to."
Okay. We weren't going to put on a social justice warrior conference. Social justice issues weren't going to be the focus of the conference. Trying to patch the atheist community's rifts to focus on getting us united on what we agree on was. That's a weird sentence. There were going to be panels with secular politicians, speeches about critical thinking and the problems of groupthink, speeches about science, a comedy show with Mike Lee, And, of course, the debate between Schieber and Wood, which would have been our opening night special. Scroll down.
Right. So it just sounds like this article is a lot of this dude just being like, well, fuck, it wasn't all about that, but everybody kept focusing on it.
That's because
That
that's what it was
sucks.
going to turn into.
Yeah,
It was most likely just going to turn into this great big anti-SJW versus SJW bull crap. I mean, that's.
Sounds
I mean,
exactly.
that's kind of what every single panel that had both sides on it turned into. It basically turned into a microcosm of freaking. I don't think I used that word correctly, but anyways, it turned into a micro war where you had both two sides fighting each other, and it wasn't really about the panel at that point at all. It was really about I'm right and you're wrong, while they were using the subject of the panel as a cover.
Yeah. Sounds exactly like fucking Richard Spencer inviting himself to Kilroy, and look how that ended.
That was.
So I do have one question. If Spencer can kill a convention and Shives can kill a convention, does that make Shives the Spencer of the left?
I would actually say no. I'm going to hold that for Christy Winters.
That'd be better.
Christy Winters, really?
I believe she is probably the Spencer of the left, where Shives is just the bootlicker.
Here's the thing. I don't think that highly of Richard Spencer.
I don't think that highly of either of them.
No, but like it. I don't think he's that manipulative.
Well, if you're going off of manipulation, there's no doubt that Christy Winters and even Steve Shives are much more manipulative than Richard Spencer is. I mean, we can basically look at Richard Spencer, hear what he's saying, and realize, this guy, he's kind of a dumbass in senses, I guess. I don't know. I just get that overall. He doesn't really understand what he's trying to convey.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just not even like. It was that Sargon and Richard Spencer thing on Andy Worski where someone finally got him to admit that he wanted to establish an quote unquote aristocracy where things were based like there was a class system based on your level of whiteness, I guess. Yeah, I'm definitely paraphrasing, but anyways, let's move on.
Yeah, we're not going to do the whole article. This goes into like the plan, like how the conference was planned out, how things are going to go, and it's just basically. And then we invited Shives, and everything fell apart. So it led to Tech being canceled. Thanks, Steve. Everything you touch turns to shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm taking away from it.
Yeah, it just. I mean, I kind of feel a little bit bad for I don't know the guys who were setting this up or anything. I don't know anything about them, but so I do feel a little bad that it just destroyed all their dreams. But
Death and Tracy wouldn't have caused this much.
So I was using microcosm correctly. Thank you, Sunburnt.
Shall we move on?
So we shall move on to the next article, and that is the Bitcoin's gender divide could be a bad sign for experts say. We'll pull that one up, Buck.
Yep, I got it open here. I don't know why cryptocurrency and women why they're being linked. I just don't see the fucking connection.
Alright, I'll take this one.
Sure thing.
Alright, and this is on CBC News?
Yep.
Alright, it's an analysis. Bitcoin's gender divide could be a bad sign, experts say. Women will get more involved in cryptocurrency world when and if it becomes less risky. so it'll never happen. Got
Yeah,
it.
because that's the whole point of getting into this kind of stuff. Is it's a risk. You like keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. All right. To start off, Bitcoin and the world of cryptocurrency is a boys' club, say some experts, and that should be cause for concern. Why? Cryptocurrency is a form of digital currency traded between people or used to purchase goods outside of banks or government regulation. That's part of what makes it risky. Figuring out exactly who is putting money into this kind of asset is difficult because part of the attraction of investing in the crypto realm is the assurance of anonymity. Survey after survey backs up what the anecdotal evidence suggests. Women are underrepresented. And Google
Well, okay,
Analytics.
hold on.
Go ahead.
Okay, so first up, keep going. Read a little bit more, and then I'll make my point.
Okay. Google Analytics results put the divide at 96.57% men to 3.43% women. That's a huge red flag to Duncan Stewart, research director of the I can't pronounce that
some French
place,
word.
Canada's technology division. It isn't merely that the value has risen as far and as fast as it has, it's the fact that it's 97% men. That is, in and of itself, a potential danger sign, he says. There are studies out there that suggest men are predisposed towards bubbles in a way that women are not. Alright, so I'm starting to see that this is less about a gender divide and whatnot, and more about men are more prone to acting recklessly and women are not, which is actually kind of true. Stewart made his case in a recent online post about the subject. Stewart said he cannot think of any security, currency, or asset class in history that shows that extreme a gender divide and has been sustainable.
What?
There's a infographic, I guess. Bitcoin engagement by gender 3.43 and 96.57%, whatever. All right.
So I've noticed this. Like, I've talked to my little brother's ex-wife and just a few people that I've known around like campus and stuff about Bitcoin, and there seems to be this just, and I haven't heard this from men at all, so this is completely anecdotal. I just premise it with that. But there is a ton of people who believe that a Bitcoin is illegal, like it's some kind of hacking thing.
What the
And
hell?
they're scared of it. And I'm saying, and I don't understand where it comes from.
Well, here's probably where it's coming from. I think it started out as, well, it's not legal tender. As in, you can't take Bitcoin to a store in the United States and say, I'd like to buy things using Bitcoin, and they have to accept it. See, under law in the United States, if it is considered a legal tender, a store has to accept it in exchange for its goods.
Okay, so this is completely based off of, and what you're saying is this.
It's what's probably happening. What was probably happening is they're mistaking the lack of legal tender as this is illegal. So it's totally legal.
Okay.
I mean, but it's more like it's more closely related to a bartering system, and this one was like, you're willing to accept this for your goods and services. All right, cool. And then it means it's worth something to you, and that's all that's really important. So like, you can take your car, go to someone else who has another car, and say, hey, I like your car. Do you like mine? Oh, cool. Do you want to trade? And if they both want to trade, then they can absolutely do that. They still have to pay taxes on the trade, but it's still they can legally do that. But if you were to go into a dealership and say, hey, I don't want this car anymore, I want that one, they would probably look at you, well, you can trade that one in and it'll total cost of the car down, but we're not going to take it. You know, just as that, because the car itself is not legal tender.
Right. So what you're saying is that originally this was the term illegal tender was used, and people were misjudging that for instead of it being something that is illegal in quotation marks to it just being not something that can be used
That
as
would
legal
be
tender.
that would
You're
definitely
saying
be
people
my hypothesis. Yes.
is people were conflating the term.
Yes, that would be my
And
hypothesis about how that misconception came about.
right, but why is it mostly women though?
Well, here's the thing: is I'm still here. I'm just trying to form my argument here.
Trying to parse things out. Yeah.
Materialistic value. Now, there are studies and things that show that women have a much more value on materialistic things, as in, this is actually worth something, then I can actually do something with this. But when things that aren't really, they have sentimental values as well, but they're much more focused on the materialistic, the building of useful wealth, so to speak. Whereas men, I know, are much more prone to being pack rats over useless junk just because they think they can make it useful, or they think it's still useful. So Bitcoin doesn't have any actual real monetary value to it. It's whereas money, legal tender, does. So they're much less prone to be interested in taking something in accepting something that doesn't have any real legal basis behind it.
And
This is my probably very flawed understanding of some of the studies I've read.
it
comes down to the difference. It comes down to the difference in how
almost
in the values that men and women have in regards.
Are you saying it's because it's too abstract? Are you saying
It's-
because Bitcoin is too abstract that it doesn't have something that is like a physical thing that you can just like understand? It's a very because cryptocurrency is not something that is well understood between a lot of people.
It's you're
not
pretty much getting it, yeah.
Yeah, even to the people who understand it, it's not the same thing as money in a lot of ways. And its purpose isn't the same thing as money either. So what you're saying is basically that because it doesn't hold the same like structure as say what is known generally as what money is, you're not getting like you have a divide in gender that I'm trying to it's weird to me is that's all. And I can't put my finger on it, but I could definitely see more articles like this one coming out. I love the title of this next section. Role models are needed. So why don't you start there?
Role models are needed. Okay, Stewart says he saw this in action during the dot-com boom and bust in the early 2000s, but then he was an award-winning technology fund manager on Bay Street. Female fund managers represent about 20% of institutional investors at the time, but they shied away from the tech stocks the men were heavily invested in. He recalls his female colleagues being mocked for not jumping in with as much fervor as the men, until the men began losing lots of money. The chat is actually going kind of wild with this right now. All right, so something that I actually have
addressing it.
This is something that I actually have to go ahead and address really quick. Yes, the value of something, of any given top item, is only what people will accept of it. However, the government backing the US dollar because it's as Gator said, it's a fiat currency. It doesn't have any real materials backing it like it used to. I think it was in the 1960s where they switched away from using gold to back it, but it's still a legal tender, as in the United States government has said this is legal tender, just like stamps used to be. I think they might still be. If someone can pay with this, then it's complicated. I mean, you have to be. Well, it's probably not very complicated. I'm not remembering it as well as I would like to. If someone can pay with U.S. dollars, then you have to accept U.S. dollars 70s. Thank you, Gator. You have to accept U.S. dollars for it in the United States.
Mm.
Gold standard, that's what it was called.
Yep.
Bitcoin does not have the backing of the government in regards to its value.
Right, but it does have, as we've seen within, like, especially within like the past like 3 months, it has value.
It has value to the people who value it, yes, but only so
True.
far as the people who value it. It's like you can't walk into a store and say, I want to buy this with Bitcoin, and the store, they don't have to accept Bitcoin, you know? Now, they can choose among the legal tenders that are existent. Like, a store does not have to accept debit cards. A store does not have to accept credit cards. A store does not have to accept US dollars if they have those other two options. But they have to accept something. Something that is recognized by the United States as legal tender. If they're actually
Okay.
going to sell that to you.
And so what you're saying is because this isn't all right, so Sunny just posted something. I'll read it out loud. It's because women are more at risk advisors in comparison to men, and while men
Yeah,
may
and
bring
I
home the
touched on
bacon.
I touched on that a little bit. It
Right,
has to do
and-
with the materialistic value of it.
Right, and it's just so because right now, to the mainstream audience, there isn't a clear picture of it being the exact same as money. So because right now it's not like you can't. Most people don't
What
know
people
about.
are-
Like,
Yeah, well, here's the thing: is like what people are trying to do is they're trying to look at Bitcoin and put it as like comparing it to a U.S. dollar, right? And that's not really the best way to
Right.
look at it.
Right.
In its current form, it's best to look at Bitcoin as a form of stock bonds. All right. The more
Yeah.
people who have it, the more people who value it, the more people who want it, the more valuable it's going to be. Right? The more people selling it, it's the supply and demand thing. Is if there's not a whole lot of it and a whole lot of people want it, it's going to be more valuable. But if a whole lot of people don't want it and there's a whole lot of it on the market, it's going to have less value.
Right.
So, right.
All right.
Okay. So let's keep reading.
Was I? Maybe they got it better than the men did all along. Stewart said, blah, blah, blah. Ileana Oris Valiente. I probably brutalized that freaking name.
It's
Is a
fine.
rarity in the cryptocurrency world. She has emerged as a female leader in this space and has recently chosen to lead consulting firm Accenture's global blockchain innovation division. Blockchain is the technology behind cryptocurrencies.
So there. How many? I'm gonna look up. Like, are there actual firms now?
They're probably just starting to pop up by now. I mean, cryptocurrency
Yeah.
still isn't a very, like we were saying, it's not a big thing.
It's still in its infancy. I mean, it's been in it's been in its infancy for
There's over
a long
100.
time.
There's over 100
But is that worldwide or in the United States?
This is just a list of the top 10 most or top 100 most influential blockchain companies. So I don't know if it gives out like all of the stuff. Kik is a blockchain firm. Interesting.
There's probably some smaller startup ones scattered here and there, but I mean, if there's 100 blockchain companies established that are doing pretty well, then
right, there has to be at least more than 100 for them to be a top 100 successful blockchains. But there is a good amount. I'm like going through them, and there's a ton of firms. That's yeah. The more stuff like that happens, the more it's going to seem like a real thing. And I think that's probably what it is. Here's my take on the idea: the more mainstream Bitcoin comes, and I think this is just like I think you've already kind of touched on this. The more it becomes, the more people are going to see it as a real thing, and less people are going to be scared of the concept of it. Now, it's always going to have risk, but I think people are actually just scared of the concept of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's basically what I was trying to say. The U.S. dollar has federal backing. And as someone pointed out to us in the chat, the Bitcoin has some states backing it. But it's still, the US dollar is what most people understand and know. This is new, it's scary, it's different. And there's a lot of risk that comes with it. As we've seen a couple of times, as the bubble has semi-burst over the last 6 months or so, a couple of times. It's risen up to a peak and then has dropped dramatically overnight, and then has risen up to another peak and then has dropped dramatically overnight, and so on and so forth. It's working exactly like a stock is working. It's not the change is not as, it's not as stable as the US dollar or the Japanese yen or the British pound.
Definitely not as stable as that, Jesus Christ.
So you could drop $2,000 into Bitcoin, and then the next day it's only going to be worth like $20. Yeah.
All right. So actually, interesting thing. If you go into the glaring gender divide, this Oris person says something.
Oris doesn't buy into the theory that an outsized amount of male interest in a particular asset in and of itself creates a bubble. If we have primarily men involved in building the businesses and being the early stage investors, they're likely to share the new tidbits and new deals with their own established networks. Then it goes blockchain. It's got 2 links to blockchain technology and Bitcoin feud, but with a major catalyst, she doesn't see the gender divide in this field narrowing anytime soon. Let's go to script through the rest of this. Signs of a bubble. The debate continues over Sorry, I have to respond to this.
No, it's fine.
But no. It feels like to me that this article is trying to create 2 points.
It's exploring.
Right.
It's exploring the ideas that being put forward. I mean, it's true that that it could be a bad sign that only men are investing in it, and whereas
that could be detrimental to it, since it's been stated a long time that women are the ones who push the economy, and if they don't jump on it and they ignore it, you're going to have a lot less appeal from marketers to take it on and all that kind of stuff, and then eventually just die out.
My question with the article is, okay, so all this has been presented. What are we like? Is the writer advocating for women to take more risks or for men to take less? I can't figure it out.
It sounds like it's with the whole role models are needed. It sounds like it's trying to push the idea that women.
When they say the idea of role model, I mean, it would be. I was hoping that they were going to go with a different direction with what they did, but they definitely pulled in the gender narrative thing where they brought in this Ms. Valiente, and but it's all right though. Let's go ahead and move on to the next item.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to Beyonce's veganism.
Beyonce's veganism. Let's see, where do I have this
Love this site.
hanging out? There it is.
Ugh. Oh, and of course it's cut off on the page. God damn it.
Yeah, they just slammed this thing packed full of ads, huh?
Yeah, but I like Campus Reform. I like what they do, but they really got to work on their layout.
All right, Buck, do you want to take this one?
Sure, I'll get us started. All right, Beyonce's veganism promotes discrimination, professors warn. Against what? Two professors argue in a recent academic journal article that Beyonce's promotion of veganism reproduces existing patterns of discrimination and inequality. So rich people can't be vegan? According to the Consumer article, veganism promotes consumer culture, individuality, and the concept of a sexy body, all of which they consider antithetical to ecofeminism. Oh.
Wait. Oh, eco-feminism. I thought you said ego-feminism. I was going to say, isn't that all of...
I'm pretty sure they're the same thing at this point.
Wait, hold on.
What?
What's this hold on about?
What is it arguing? Keep reading, but...
Okay. We'll get there. We'll try to get there. Two professors at the University of London recently warned that Beyonce's veganism reproduces existing patterns of discrimination and inequality. Explain how. In an article in the recent issue of Feminist Media Studies, Ella Fegitz and Daniela Pirani argue that Beyonce's adoption of the 22 Days Vegan Challenge perpetuates inequality because it is actually a post-feminist dietary practice.
What? Can you split that into actual words?
I have to read that again. Beyonce's adoption of the 22 Days Vegan Challenge perpetuates inequality because it is actually a post-feminist dietary practice. So,
a post-feminist dietary practice.
So
what does that mean?
If you go vegan, you have transcended beyond feminism into something unknowable.
I mean, I have to say that most vegans are probably cracks, but
I always thought veganism and feminism played hand in hand.
No, veganism is its own separate thing. A lot of feminists do promote veganism, but I would say that they are not necessarily hand in hand. In fact, I know a few vegans who don't give a damn about feminism. But I'm pretty sure that it's one of those. It's a lot like atheism. It's being co-opted by feminism at this point.
It's really weird that this is how they're drawing the lines. All right. Under the social and economic regime of neoliberalism, The empowerment of the individual is worrisome to some feminist scholars, since it shifts the onus of self-improvement onto the individual and away from society.
Okay, what?
The empowerment of the individual is worrisome to some feminist scholars, since it shifts the onus of self-improvement onto the individual and away from society.
That is a huge word salad that's supposed to sound a lot smarter than it actually is.
Are we reading Everyday Feminism or Campus Reform?
Campus Reform.
Yeah, but what are these paragraphs? Like there's this thing called jargon. You use it just enough, and then you explain what you mean. None of this is.
Nothing is being defined.
No, not at all.
This was the same problem I had with my literary theory course. I had to read like I said, this whole article is just going to be one great big huge word salad that doesn't really mean what they think it means.
Well, it doesn't really mean anything, now, does it?
No, it doesn't. It's incomprehensible. It's like this is one of those instances where someone is using a whole lot of really big words. They're not sure, and the only reason they're using big words is to sound a lot smarter than they actually are. It's becoming commodified. What the fuck is commodified?
It's funny so let's take this whole shifting the onus of self-improvement on the individual and away from society. So it sounds like these feminists want the opposite of that, which means don't have your own beauty standards conform to the beauty standards of society when they claim that society has horrible beauty standards. That's so self-defeating. I can't.
It's. Who wrote this?
Well, they are quoting. They're effectively
Tony
summarizing someone else's. Well, they're paraphrasing someone else's argument.
They're not paraphrasing very well, are they?
They're not doing very well at anything.
Isn't the point of paraphrasing to simplify what they said so that it's more understandable by people who aren't in the know?
I think this is one of those things you can't simplify because it's not simplified to begin with. Its simplest state is still too complicated. All right. Oh God, I want to shoot myself already. The appropriation of a vegan diet is mobilized as part of a post-feminist ethics that promotes an individualistic form of emancipation which sustains existent patterns of discrimination and inequality, consumerism, and neoliberalism. Discrimination against what? Just
plants? Is this an article about plants? I'm genuinely.
That's what.
So what this is probably, I'm saying probably because I don't understand fake smart speak, is this is bad because it makes people feel bad and it demonstrates a difference in how much money this person has compared to this person, and it's making people feel bad because they're making it just like a style. It's a fad. They're turning it into a fad.
Oh, okay. So their issue seems to be that they don't want veganism to become a trend just because people like celebrities are deciding to do it and make a big point out of it.
Right. They want it to. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, they want it to stay a serious thing that people take seriously.
Yeah, that's one part of it. Yes, yeah. But I think Ethereal just brought something up, and I think it's an important thing to take into account as well. Is they're also trying to say that she can do this, whereas people who don't have as much money can't.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever gone to a one of those Whole Food stores?
Oh yeah,
And
of course, yeah.
tried to do vegan and just
Well, not-
looked at the not tried to be vegan or anything, but just looked at the price differences between vegan foods, things that say they're vegan, and stuff
Right.
that isn't. The freaking cost is enormously disproportionate.
Right. I fed myself for an entire week on $37. If I were like, and that if I were going to try,
$37. Dude, I fed myself. I at one point. This is not trying to one up, but at one point I had $100 for an entire month. I was eating Spam and ramen noodles and eggs.
yeah, just
that
ramen and
entire
eggs. Yep.
month.
Yep,
Yep.
ramen and eggs. See, I got lucky because I found 9 steaks, like actual solid, like sirloin steaks for fucking $11, and all of my meals were across that. It just based around that, and I was able to eat very well. I also make really good steak, but no, it just. Okay, so I see what's going on here. Is the point of this is they feel like it's almost a class issue, a little bit.
It is
There
a
are
class
pro-
issue. I think that's one of the big things that they're trying to put across here is it's a class issue, as in many people can't afford to do this stuff that she's doing,
Right.
and her promoting it
Okay.
and publicizing it making the people who can't afford it feel bad.
Feel bad. Oh my, this art. Oh my gosh, that's so retarded.
Okay.
What? All right, keep reading, Buck, because it gets worse.
Okay, so in this context, the endorsement of veganism is radically different from the ethical and political stance of ecofeminism or black. There's subsets of veganism now.
Just keep reading, man. We're gonna get hung up on these
Becoming
terms.
commodified is just another lifestyle choice. Why can't it be anything other than that?
See, folks, this is a segment that I'd like to call "Trying to Figure It Out," where we read something that is so unintelligible that we just spend the entire segment just trying to figure out what the fuck it's trying to say.
Because it's really not saying anything. It's using, like, what the fuck is black veganism? How is it different from white veganism? What is an ecofeminist?
This is where
Well, actually, that. Yeah.
It's where they're
This hurts my
trying to
brain.
insert race and like class and things like that where none of it actually exists. I mean, come on. I've seen vegans go dumpster diving. All right, there's no real class in veganism.
Yeah, I think we all have about this point.
There's
What's the name of that one guy? Gang.
Yeah, vegan
I saw a
gains.
video where he went
Yep.
dumpster diving and he was pulling out
Moldy bread. God damn
moldy
it.
bread and meat that's been sitting at the bottom of a dumpster for days.
Yeah, I can't.
It's-
Let's move on. Let's keep
remember why
going.
he did
I
that.
just to prove a point.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm about ready to just give up on this article. It's stupid.
Well, like I can read what these two professors are saying, and the one question I have is what's wrong with self-control? What's wrong with self-control? What's wrong with self-management? What's wrong with self-discipline? They don't explain that. They just say these are bad. Okay. Let's see where it was.
Okay, Eternal just made a comment, so I'll read it out. Ethereal, I'm sorry. It's not a class. Well, it's not the class welfare. I can't fucking read. Because it's yep, I know. Because it's specifically for women. Anthony Fantano had a video on his second channel where he showed how cheap it could be to become a vegan.
can be a
Okay.
vegan. Well, yeah, I mean, if you know what you're doing, you don't have to go to the Whole Food stores and
Right,
places
right,
like
you
that
just-
to be a vegan. You just,
You could just eat vegetables. Just vegetables.
but that's not the trend. Most
Right.
there's the yeah, I discussed it already, and it said stuff already about it.
You know, I
I'd
had
just
one
be
of those.
repeating myself.
I had a trendy vegan for a roommate my first year at uni, and he's like, I only eat organic food, while he's, you know, reheating frozen vegan foods and eating shit out of a can. It's like, what? What? That no. So, I mean,
Pretty sure anything that goes into a can has been processed and is thus
Yes.
considered quote unquote organic.
So is this? I guess at this point, it's the question: is this non-famous people shaming? That's
fame shaming.
No, it's really talking about more the personal responsibility, I guess, of it.
Oh my god. I bet these two would love
Oh
state
yeah,
mandated diets.
Ethereal actually kind of summed it up pretty well. It's arguing for the abolition of personal responsibility. Damn it! Yeah,
Right.
I guess you
Yeah,
are
yeah,
going to
it
be
is.
a fucking translator, you son of a. Good show, sir.
Oh my
Good show.
god. Indeed, Beyonce.
All right, let's
All right.
let's
Hold
read
on,
the next
I
article
have,
if
I
we
have to
can.
read this.
yeah. Like let's
I
let's not keep going with it. We figured out what the fuck this is going on about.
I
and
just
it's
want to read this one line out loud because it just
All
sounds
right,
so
fuck.
retarded. Indeed, Beyonce's
Go ahead.
uptake and promotion of a vegan diet highlights what Elspeth Probin has called choice choisie.
Is that like trying to
That's
play
like-
the bourgeoisie?
Which means you have more privilege if you have if you can choose things for yourselves. Oh my god. I want to die.
Excuse me.
I can't keep doing this.
Yeah, let's move on.
Oh.
I need to recover some brain cells to kill.
Choice Swazi. God damn it.
Well, you're not exactly going to recover any from this next article.
All right, what's the next article?
How to survive the holidays in a cross-class relationship.
Thank you, Everyday Feminism.
Yeah,
You were the reason I
why
have
I
a
was so
channel.
concerned. This is why I was so concerned when we were reading the campus reform. I'm like, wait, if it's this bad here, what the fuck is gonna happen when we go to the feminism article?
Okay. How to survive the holidays in a cross-class relationship. By Shannon Weber on December 12, 2017.
The fucking cat.
All right.
The picture.
Right. Right.
All right.
Yeah,
everyone,
person sitting
prepare
in
your
the darkness. Okay, person sitting in the darkness with a Christmas tree in the background. Scroll down to the picture, Buck.
I got it up with the fucking caption.
Okay.
In case you
Holy
can't.
shit!
Oh.
No, it's
Kidding.
like. Go ahead.
Okay. The holidays are supposed to be a time of warmth, joy, and pulling family closer. But as so many of us know, the reality is often far messier. So many of us. So, I don't know. For those of us dating partners who come from more privileged class background, I'm pretty sure that the so many of us is starting to be more of a projection. The holidays can be awkward and even demoralizing. If you ask Nick, I mean, the holidays by themselves are just demoralizing. The good news is that none of us want the holidays to be an alienating buzzkill or a re-traumatizing culture shock for our partners. What the fuck?
A re-traumatizing culture shock. Just a re-traumatizing culture shock.
With a healthy dose of humility, a touch of humor, and a lot of and communication, you too can survive the holidays with your class partner and hopefully even deepen your connection in the process. So I have a feeling this is being directed towards gold diggers.
I can't think of any other way to take it.
Check out the following ways to facilitate understanding, goodwill, and self-care as you gather around a crackling fire with cocoa or find yourself hiding in a guest room with Zan on your phone. That's definitely a recounting of something that they experienced. 1. Take accountability for the power imbalances and points of underdeveloped awareness in your relationship. What power imbalance?
Gotta love that Marxism.
I am a white, cisgender, working class, queer, femme woman. I don't even want to dating a white, non-binary, queer person from a wealthy background.
Of course, they're from a wealthy background. Okay, so this is yes. So this article is from the perspective of the wealthy person, not the poor person.
No, this article is from the perspective of the poor person dating the wealthy. So that sentence says that they're dating someone who is from a wealthy background.
I misread that. Alright, moving on.
Given that wealth functions as a basic marker of stratification in a capitalist society, I think I'm done.
Imagine my shock.
It has been challenging at times to navigate in our relationship. White class isn't the end-all be-all of privilege. As a cis person, I'm not constantly How can you be a cisgender and queer at the same time?
Okay, so I'm not entirely sure.
They can't even keep their own goddamn titles straight.
What is it? 'Cause she's not trans, but she's queer. Maybe. Does that have to do with?
Doesn't white cisgender means that they're white and straight?
You see, it'd be really nice if they stopped changing the fucking rules.
What? Okay, yeah. Does it mean that she's like not straight?
But if they're cisgender, then they're straight.
No. If they're cisgender, that means they're not trans. They're born male. They are male. They're born female. They are female. It's cisgender has to do with gender. Queer has to do with gender and sex. That's the one that's confusing. So this might be they're a woman, just a woman that didn't transition from a man, that is not straight. That's basically what I'm getting from that.
Oh, I kind of gathered that she wasn't straight when she was talking about it. Not
right.
Anyways, while class isn't the end-all be-all of privilege, as a cis person, I'm not constantly misgendered like my partner is. And as white people, neither of us are targeted by institutionalized racism. What institutionalized racism? It is still a defining power imbalance in our relationship that we have to consciously work at. I have never, ever seen institutionalized racism demonstrated or any real evidence of it not refuted or debunked.
I'm just going to take the Shapiro approach. Show me a law or a person that is being racist, and we can fix it. Otherwise, go away.
For example, the differences in our class backgrounds have given us wildly disparate perceptions about what an average upbringing looks like. So what you're saying is you had only, and this person had two. One time, during a cuddly Netflix-a-thon, I commented to my partner about how annoying and always about white, straight, cis, rich people living in McMansions. Wait, what?
Well, it's just Hollywood. So hold on.
While this was an obvious observation for me as someone who grew up in condos and duplexes and small... How is a condo not...
Just keep going. Just keep going.
And duplexes and small homes, it made my partner stop and reflect on their class privilege, since they've never had to think twice about the fact that the type of neighborhood they grew up in isn't exactly representative of the lives of the vast majority of Americans. If you have more access to wealth and economic resources than your partner, it's imperative to truly listen to their experiences with economic oppression and, just as importantly, take ownership of your privilege rather than getting defensive.
So this is the tired old argument about just applying it to class.
So basically, this entire article is going to be just great big huge fucking drag all of the bullshit I had with my own freaking partner or whatever and put it out there as everybody else's business. Fuck you. God, I'd be surprised if you're still dating this person after they found that you wrote this. Actually, never mind. I wouldn't be surprised if you were, because you're both fucking insane.
Oh, man.
Yeah, probably. It just... Alright, I'm gonna go through. So like the second part of this is strive for mindfulness experiences and moments of self-care. Act as a supportive buffer and check in with your partner. Check in with friends who get it. Practice wealth redistribution.
Fuck you.
What? Okay, go to 5. Go to 5. There we are. 5.
Practice wealth redistribution. No. Do you have economic resources that never were, but which were bestowed on you by your family, i.e. intergenerational wealth? Or did you work for what you have, but you have far more than you comfortably need to live and thrive? Spread your wealth as part of a radical commitment to working for an economically just future for all. Fuck you. It's mine to do with what I want to do. Redistribution of wealth is vital to social justice social justice work. Marxism, communism.
Does
blah,
anyone
blah,
else
blah,
hear
blah,
the Russian national anthem in the distance? I think I do.
It challenges the very system of intergenerational privilege upon which everything in capitalism is built. Fuck you. No, that's wrong. Check out organizations like Resource Generation, which is a place for wealthy young people from 1835 to come together, build community, and strategize around how to reinvest their resources in ways that uplift communities that have been deprived of access to wealth. No one's deprived of access to wealth. It's just your willingness to actually go out and work for it. I know people who were making $120,000 to $100,000 a year, and they grew up in the ghetto. Fuck you. Work on owning your trauma. What the fuck is so traumatic about dating being a gold digger? What's so traumatic about that?
Well, let's read it. Let's read that part of it.
Visit a therapist who can be supportive of your experiences under capital class oppression. God, I'm done. Fuck this thing. This is.
You need a therapist, but you need a good communist therapist.
I don't need a therapist. What I need is for someone to. I need a shovel. That's what I need. I need a shovel. I just need a shovel.
Okay. Just shovel through all that shit. It is really bad, and it's just. I'm not entirely sure.
How does someone? Oh, that's right. It's from Everyday Feminist.
Right. I forgot we were in
that answers the question that was only half formed in the. How does someone with a working brain have these kinds of ideas, or even develop these kinds of ideas? And now I know. So
here's the thing. is like I can understand like I don't know. I can understand being in a relationship. I'm gonna fuck all this like gender queer stuff. Like I'm gonna throw that out of the topic, and I'm gonna talk about specifically about two people who were in a relationship. One of them was extremely one of them who's extremely wealthy or rather well off, and the other one who isn't. I could see that being frustrating. I wouldn't call it traumatizing, but I could see that being frustrating because, and I thought this was going to start making arguments about like dealing with the fact that you're broke, but
I'm broke all the
didn't.
time. I'm $1,500 a month that I earned from when I was in the military. But I don't even know. I'm just this shit gives me a headache.
It's a lot of this is just
yeah.
It really because like you go down to 5 in intergenerational wealth. Is that not just fucking inheritance?
Inheritance. It's inheritance. It's your parents being able to support you if you fall on hard times. It's
so they didn't create this term. This isn't another one of their.
This is my understanding of it just by reading the word, honestly. Intergenerational wealth, and like say you've got a big family, and your parents own the house, and then you and your siblings and whatnot all live in that house, and it's a nice house, but you're all living in it, but it's not your house, it's your parents' house. That could be construed as intergenerational wealth, because you are profiting off of the wealth of the previous generation, so to speak. It could also mean inheritance, like say you inherited your house from your grandparent when they passed away. They decided that they were going to leave their house to you, and you are 18 and you've got a house you didn't have to pay for, except for maybe taxes every year. That's intergenerational wealth. Say you inherited a company when your grandparents or your parents passed away. That can be construed as intergenerational wealth, because you now have this already successful company that you're running, and you didn't have to work for it at all. And then there goes to and say that, I guess apparently they also call intergenerational wealth is stuff that you work for and earn yourself.
That just seems entirely convoluted.
That's what I
Sounds
got
more
from
like
that
it's
whole
just
thing.
things you get from your family.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah, but is that not just inheritance though? Why is there a second term?
Intergenerational wealth? I mean, inheritance, like, intergenerational wealth just means, it's stuff of value that you've gotten either because your parents are giving you stuff or they died and you inherited it. So it could mean inheritance. It could mean stuff that your parents provided to you, whether they're alive or not. It means that the wealth of the previous, the next, so it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds and so on and so forth. Like, you could say that President Trump, he built his conglomerate, or whatever you want to call it, off of intergenerational wealth. I mean, he got a $200 million loan from his father, and I used
small loan of $1 million.
You just your version of that sounds a little bit too Boston.
Yeah, I have family from Boston. Sue me. Please don't.
I don't know.
I don't have enough money to take you to court.
I don't have enough
Either
money
way.
to pay you. we need to read.
But no, like,
Just left me with a headache.
Yeah.
yeah, it's you sound a little drained. It's just like for a lot
I
of
don't
these,
have
like,
I don't have enough energy to invest any more emotion. So
should we move on?
I think we're getting ready to start circling around again. So yeah, let's move on to what's
For the
next.
sake of sanity.
All right. I have been looking for something funny to talk about. Apparently,
when I read this title of this thing, I thought this was going to be no, it's just the freaking enraging thing.
It started out funny and got worse.
well, I decided that it'd be a little funny to read this. Running Eagles fan slams into subway pole.
What? Oh, I saw that clip. That was hilarious.
I'll pull it
And
up.
it's just a little something I posted into the last text chat. But it's just something to be a little bit more hilarious than whatever the fuck we were just reading.
It's a funny thing about the future.
Why are there ads?
You don't wake up.
Why do these exist?
Because it's Huffington Post.
And
Why are you
I'll
doing
probably
this
get
to
a
me, Bob?
fucking Mitsubishi copyright claim
Alright.
too. I want to skip this shit.
I'm getting a completely different one.
All right, so
Nothing.
today's episode of Locked and Loaded is apparently sponsored by Mitsubishi. Oh shit!
I've got Microsoft Edge.
And Microsoft.
Just keeps going,
Let's turn the
going,
sound back on.
going.
Oh, that is such a beautiful clip.
All right, I got it all loaded up.
All right. We chill. You wanna click play?
Yeah.
All right.
It's playing for me, yeah. He's still. Oh,
Yeah, man, it's Weapon X!
We're a little bit ahead
that's dislocated shoulder.
at the very least.
Oh, look, another ad. Wonder if he ended up.
Well, apparently he's absolutely fine. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and close this now because it's obnoxious.
All right. Well, what Sonny posted.
I mean, she's not wrong.
Oh man. Well, that was just absolutely. I don't even know.
That was. I'm going to do dumb shit, and dumb shit's going to happen to me. We've all been there. Everyone's been there. It just so happens that there was a camera, and what happened to this guy went viral.
What was the point? Like, why was he so mad?
He wasn't mad. He was.
What?
He was fired up. He was really fucking excited and probably a little drunk.
This was pre-game.
Oh, it was
Oh,
pregame.
this is pre.
This was pre-game. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like Seahawks fans. You know, they're
Oh
shouting at
yeah,
each other walking to
yeah,
the stadium.
Seahawks. Like I think across the entire west part of Washington, it is such a huge Seahawks culture. Like holy shit.
Why did
Yeah.
someone thumbs down?
The video.
Yes, someone thumbs down the video.
Who the fuck's
Why?
disliking my stream?
Oh,
There's
Oh.
I will
8.
find you,
There's 8.
and I will kill
That's
you.
probably from me and Pav. There's
What?
9.
We
Oh.
Yeah, like
Well,
the
so-
stream.
so-
Maybe Susan Senpai will notice us.
What did we do wrong, person who threw the thumbs down? What did we do better? I'm kidding,
Don't
I'm
worry.
kidding.
Don't worry about that
No,
one.
yeah,
No,
I'm
that
making
person
a
doesn't know what he's talking about. He's probably just some tool somewhere trying to troll someone or thumbsing down because reasons.
Oh, he's getting me all mad.
All right. So is 8:25. Do you guys want to continue and go on to the dissertation manual, or
Yeah, we can do that.
Let's do.
I don't mind at all.
Let's do
All
One
right.
Piece from the disorientation manual.
All right, which chapter do you want to cover?
Let me pull it up here. Oh God, I thought I fixed this. God damn it.
Well, apparently you didn't. What the hell? Why?
All right. So, where was the table of contents? Oh, Evergreen. I'm so happy I didn't go there. So goddamn happy.
Aren't you happy you didn't go to the school?
I'm quite happy I didn't go to this school. Otherwise, I probably would have gotten my head bashed in by a black
And now we have
pink-haired
two
tranny.
dislikes. That was from Cynic.
Oh, we got an Australian like. Perfect. I love it. So we've been liked by 9 Americans and 2 Australians. Perfect.
So only 9 of those likes actually counted.
All right, let's see. Oh, this this sounds good. Autism in college settings.
What page is that on?
That will be page 56
Of
the disorientation manual. Should be.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Autism in college settings. All right. We'll screen that. Autism in college settings. A letter to jabberers in North. That's our word. You can't have that word. Normies is our word. Hang on a second.
Listen for a second.
Buck, if you wouldn't mind starting off to grab a jacket.
Sure thing. Letter Autism in college settings. A letter to jabbers and normies. I am a woman with autism. I use typing to communicate. Because I never had the ability to communicate in ways that worked for me during school, teachers never assumed I had the intelligence to go to college. As college students yourselves, you must remember the great privilege you have that you are in college. Maybe you had to fight really hard to get here, but I bet you had at least one person who believed you could make it. Never forget those people as you struggle to make your way.
Let's be serious now. No one ever believes someone with autism will make it into college.
I don't think anyone believes anybody with autism. All right.
autism in college?
All right. Also remember that students with disabilities have more adversity to overcome than you do. Well, no shit. Of course, they're intelligent, as always.
Not always.
Yeah. Always assume that of every person. That's debatable. Have you worked in restaurants?
That is not what you should do.
Or retail?
You should always assume nothing and let them prove it.
Those students probably had more people thinking they wouldn't go to college than people who believed them. No? Question mark?
Now a bit on autism. Unlike some disabilities that have obvious markers, Well, okay. Yeah, some disabilities do have obvious markers, like someone rolling around in a wheelchair with drool fall coming out of their mouth because they have whatever muscular disease that Stephen Hawking has. Where was I? I went off on a tangent. People see me and can't tell I'm disabled until my body starts twitching, moving in unusual ways, or until I start babbling about movies. What? I don't think that's caused by your autism.
Are you autistic, or do you just like movies?
Moving in unusual ways, or until I start babbling about... hate when people stare at me or question why I'm laughing when there is seemingly nothing funny. You are not a mind reader, so don't assume why someone is doing something that out of the ordinary. So also okay to laugh along, think of a joke and just let loose. If you're being fucking weird, you're being fucking weird. And it is not their job to make you feel okay about being fucking weird. Just own that shit. The other thing to consider about autism is sensory issues. What? If you're in a classroom with bright fluorescent lights, ask if they can be dimmed or turned off. You never know if someone in the room will be bothered by the lights. They might be too self-conscious to... What? What the fuck are...
If bright lights are a serious medical thing, let's say seizures...
So...
Well, that's flashing lights.
My wife has cerebral palsy, and bright light bugs her. But autism is not a nerve disorder.
Right.
As far as I know, autism doesn't cause you to move funny. It causes you to like twitch or things like that. Autism affects how you interact with the world and interact with other people. It's like I don't think this person knows what autism... I don't think this person writing this has autism.
They probably self-diagnosed. I mean, really, because a lot of the times when I have had to deal with
I don't even think this person was misdiagnosed with autism. I don't think this person was diagnosed with anything. I think whoever is writing this is full of fucking shit.
Right, I think if
and
anything...
this makes me angry.
I think if anything, they diagnosed themselves. Sort of like, I have autism now, you have to leave me alone. And...
No, I am legitimately angry. Legitimately angry reading this.
That makes two of us. I'm just too sarcastic to be angry. I
honestly, I make this remark. Don't. Your moral outrage means nothing to me. It's like I kind of pull that from the MythCon debate. It's like it makes sense, but this is.
Here's my thing with this. This entire fucking article or like thing is just full of misinformation. It's full of trash ideas. It's full of bad memes. Like I just scrolled up a little bit and I found you know the fuck yeah baby. You know he's got his fist out and he's got the smile on, right? It's just do you wanted to get freaky, got consent. It's not a good meme. You scroll up just like a few pages there, Buck. You'll see it. But it's just the entire thing is just full of. For God's sake, one of the fucking chapters on this is about stealing and avoiding cops. These people are not sane.
Riots, not diets.
Yeah,
some of the suggestions on this. Oh yeah, I know the meme. You're misusing
autism
the meme.
Is growing more and more common. 1 in 88 children in 2000. The rate was 1 in 100. D. Surveying children born in 92 with that in mind. The world is full of many diverse humans with many different... sorry, this...
You're trying to see if they redeem themselves in any way with knowledge, because it doesn't sound like they understand anything. It's
Okay.
I mean,
there is only one sentence on this entire page that I find agreeable or even like good to say. It is often help is just offered but not always wanted.
yeah,
And I can get behind that there. It's like if you see someone needing help, whether they want that help or not, sure, offer it. It's up to them to take it or not. But don't force them to take your help.
right, exactly. That's just an understanding of social cues and all that kind of stuff. If you're sitting there and you offer to help
No,
someone and they're completely averse to it, continuing to try and help them is not going to do anything. It's actually
No,
gonna make things worse.
So I hate to harp on this again. Is like my wife had cerebral palsy. She has legitimate nerve issues where she can't control her body as well as you or I can. Right? She's had surgery that has made it so that she can walk on her own. She still needs a cane, and there are times when I do help her, and I help her without her even asking me to, because I know that she needs help with this thing. But there are other times where sometimes she needs help and sometimes she doesn't, and I always wait to see if she's going to want the help, because I know her well enough to know when she does want help and when she doesn't.
Right.
You know, and it's an important thing to people who do legitimately have disabilities, is being able to do things on their own. You know, it's you ever see the stereotypical guy in a wheelchair where, oh fuck, stereotypical guy in the wheelchair, think Scary Movie 3.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you.
Whenever he's offered help, he starts freaking out, right?
Yeah.
That's, in a nutshell, that's a stereotype for a reason. You know, that people who are in a wheelchair will often feel absolutely shitty because they're always being offered help and they want to be able to do it themselves, right?
Right.
I'm
Could you
not
imagine that feeling? Could you imagine that feeling? Just sitting there and just like you want to be able to do something that has come so naturally to other people.
All right. Well,
And
yeah, I can absolutely imagine this feeling. Imagine being 11 years old, having arms in a cast, and having to wipe your ass.
that's got to be hard.
Yeah, it was. It was very hard.
But no, this was an interesting one to pick.
It was very unpleasant. Just about everything in this article pisses me off, and it might be to my own ignorance on what autism is, as Cynic pointed out in the chat, but I just it's frustrating. I can't exactly say what I'm trying to say because I don't know how to say it.
Well,
Yeah,
I do think
next.
that the label of autism has been a little overused. Like I've had some people who seem. I mean, I know there's a difference.
How Ritalin and Adderall has been over prescribed for the past 20 years.
Yeah, kind of like that. I mean, I know there's a difference between, you know, high functioning autism and low functioning autism. That's a thing. That me to be like, no, those don't exist. I'd be fucking retarded to make that claim. But when like someone was like, yo, I need to have a laptop to take notes in class because I'm autistic, it's like,
no, you know how to write.
Either explain how or use a notebook like everyone else.
All right, Chad is screaming next.
Next.
What's the next one?
Yeah, let's look at that Riots Not Diets piece. That looked funny.
What page?
It's a couple pages up. I'll find it here. Statement on fascism, not fascism, fascism. Oh wait, we already. I'm sorry. We looked at Riots Not Diets. We did that a couple episodes ago. I'm retarded. We had a good laugh at that. Not that. Looked at that. We looked at the the riot safety. That was covered. Security Culture 101 we looked at. How to get shot by a cop, we looked at that. You know, the set of rules of you have rights, but if you do these, you'll probably be arrested. That thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go to page 82.
82.
Page 82. Riding a fucking bike.
I'm interested.
Riding a bike is fun. Driving a 2,000-pound machine powered by increasingly expensive oil that people are killed for, creating explosions at unearthly speeds, emitting toxic fumes that are killing the planet and risking your life. Over 40,000 people in the U.S. are killed every year by cars is stupid.
Oh, that's the angle they're coming at this with.
So, fun fact, I never learned how to ride a bike.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Go learn how to ride a bike right now.
Yeah, Buck, come here.
Do it right now.
We'll have a daddy-son moment. Come on, Buck.
I don't like the sound of this.
Gross.
I really don't like the sound of this.
Just remember, when he pulls out the lube,
it's too late to run.
It's for the gears.
too late to run. You're committed now. You just have to.
Gears, guys. It's for the gears.
I'm pretty sure Astroglide is not used for gears.
I mean, that all depends on what you're doing.
It does kind of grease the action a little bit, I will give you that.
Does.
Riding a bicycle is a great way to improve your physical fitness. Think of it as cross-training for outrunning cops, oh my god, or any other sport you may enjoy. Outrunning cops is a sport now.
Stupid cops in their Crown Vic. Oh my god.
Holy shit. Or, to appeal to your vanity, think about how hot biking will make your ass look. There's probably nothing more fun in all of Olympia than bombing down Harrison Avenue through the roundabouts and riding past all the suckers stuck in traffic downtown. Bikes can be really cheap. Not only do you have to pay for what? Bikes can be really cheap. Not only don't I said do. Never mind.
A double negative.
You have to pay for gas, but if it's not that difficult to learn to do your own repairs, and you are privileged to have hella resources. Did he say hella? Oh Christ, he said hella. Resources here in Ollie Town that can help you learn more about your bike.
Well, Ollie Town, really?
If you have a car and sold it, you could deck out a sweet bike and still have lots of beer money left over. Don't drink and bike though. BUIs and split skulls are no fun. I'm pretty sure in many places in the country, riding a bicycle while intoxicated is still considered a DUI offense. People who ride bicycles will tell you that the just looks different outside of a car. You'll notice all kinds of interesting little things, from people watching to plants growing through the cracks of the sidewalk to graffiti art. A car drives through past over communities. Cycling is a travel in communities. What the
You're
fuck?
not selling me here, fam.
Critical mass. Critical mass is an international movement in the Bay Area over a decade ago. When cyclists started riding en masse to assert their presence in traffic. More like... you mean that big, huge fuck-off group of bicyclists who are really pissing off the people who are driving 2,000-pound death machines around? Yeah, assert yourself into traffic as much as you like. You still splat all the same. Where was it?
It was just
For years now, that monthly celebration spread across the nation and attracted police repression. Because what you're doing is illegal and really, really dumb.
Repressed bicyclists. Come see the violence inherent in the system. Help,
My
help,
God,
I'm being repressed.
only in Washington could this statement be made. Only in Washington.
There are share the road. However, bicyclists, unless they are in an event, are not supposed to cluster together and take up so much space that it makes it so that the cars cannot get around them safely. They are supposed to drive to the side of the road in the same direction that traffic is going, so that they are not a freaking hazard. When you get a big group of fuck off bicyclists riding around blocking traffic, guess what? In this area at least, they'll get arrested. Not only for causing a road hazard and blocking traffic, but for reckless endangerment.
No, that's not the same. It's not the same way in Washington. We have a shit ton of bike lanes, and there are a ton of. We have a huge biking culture up here. And so this entire thing is not entirely like retarded. It's just the premise of where they're coming at it from is just really, really weird. Because it seems very hipster-esque as well.
It is incredibly hipster. I mean, holy fuck. He used the word hella.
But here, like I love that line. To attract a lot of police repression. I don't know what.
Cross training for outrunning cops. Biking,
That
the
actually
criminal
was probably the
sport.
funniest thing in this entire
Yeah, the criminal
cross training
sport.
for outrunning cops or any other sport you may enjoy. Outrunning cops is a sport now, people.
Every good
would-
burglar knows how to ride a bike, you know?
I would.
If I learn to ride a bike, does that make me a criminal?
Oh my
Because
god!
I want to outrun the cop.
Could you imagine at
dude,
night you're just walking down the street
Guys,
and you,
look at this. Look at this down at the bottom. Fix a fucking bike. The very bottom one. Capitalist ventures. If community resources aren't your thing, you can get ripped off at one of the many bike shops in the Ollie
Wow.
area.
there are so that's not entirely true. There's a ton of locally owned bike shops that are extremely like fair in how they deal with people.
That's the thing, though. If you're not getting it for free, then you're getting ripped off.
Mm. Yeah,
Because
fucking
that makes
commies.
Meanwhile, a free bike is a screaming deal. I mean, I can get a free bike too. My neighbor won't be too happy.
It's just redistributing the wealth, Buck. Oh,
It's
All
not
right.
theft, it's wealth redistribution. Fuck's sake.
No, like it's not theft if nobody owns their own property.
Right?
All right, let's find the next one.
All right. Get us one more, Pav. Since I can't fucking decide.
All right. Let's scroll down here. Let's see. Okay, so have you guys done Know Your Rights yet?
Yes.
I think so.
You have done Know Your Rights?
Yeah, with the
Alright.
cops.
Yeah, we did that.
Okay.
The
'Cause
guide to teach you how to get arrested, because if you do these things, the police have probable cause.
Well, there's a group of people called, I don't remember what they're called, but they believe that they are no longer a part of the United States. They might live here, but they're not a part of the United States.
yes.
I don't remember what they're called.
Sovereign citizens.
Yes, sovereign citizens. And so
It's
I was,
not
I
a
was,
car, it's
I
a
was,
land boat officer.
Ooh, I just found one.
Oh,
okay, what's up?
Port militarization resistance.
Which page?
72.
Oh. Oh no. Oh no.
Okay.
Like you're going to stop the United States military from using the port of Olympia. They have big fuck off cannons. What are you going to do about it? Throw a fucking bag of garbage? PMR was started by Olympia radicals who understood that Congress would not end U.S. imperialism and that direct action was the only option available that has proven track record. A new president did not end the wars. Oh shit. Endless solemn marches did not end the wars. Again, no shit. Countless hours of bearing moral witness did not end the war, and a million candles did not end the war. Not by themselves anyway. Only popular direct action, bold and uncompromising, can end what? Genocide?
Oh man.
Holy fuck. All across this imperial motherland.
Well,
To civilian port cities are being used to fuel the war machine. Civilian port cities that operate under
Hey guys.
federal jurisdiction of the United States government
Hey
and
guys.
are only allowed to operate under the jurisdiction of the United States government. You're in the United States.
Hey guys.
hmm.
War. What is it good for? That's what this is reading like. It is reading
All across
exactly
the
like.
imperial motherland, they call it a machine. Munitions and war vehicles, including the infamously easy to blow up Stryker armored transport.
Fuck off.
You really don't know anything about those things, do you? Continue to be shipped out of publicly owned ports. Wow. Some people really just do not understand how things work. Ports just like Port of Olympia, the Port of Tacoma, and the Port of Grays Harbor. But this opportunity to oppose the bloodshed did not go unnoticed. Port militarization resistance was direct action against the occupation of Iraq. PMR organized around opposing military shipments through local ports as a means of cutting off material support for the wars. You mean you cutting off the people who were fighting the said wars and getting them killed?
Good job. You're only making it worse.
What is their argument? Like, okay, I want to get to a point here. What is their point? Like,
I don't know.
go down to the last article on that side of the page. I mean, the last paragraph on that side of the page.
PMR, the organization, was founded in June 2000 by Justice Peace activists, and it maintained a singular focus on opposing war. PMR has succeeded in kicking the military out of Port Olympia and delayed shipments at numerous other ports in the northwest.
So they're terrorists.
They're actively hindering the war effort. so to speak. 2006, people in Olympia set up blockades at the port of Olympia. At one point, 20 people laid down in front of strikers and were consequently arrested, thus setting a new standard for port resistance. They cost the port and city over $26,000.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, $26,000 that could have gone to like actual important things,
March
like schools.
The U.S. military planned to ship strikers out of the port of Tacoma. For 11 days, people resisted. Hundreds of people from Bellingham and Portland came to resist. This port protest saw an escalation of tactics. People tore down fences and used materials to build blockades in the port. Police came out in force night after night. They arrested and beat. They didn't beat anyone, probably. They arrested and beat protesters. The city and the port ended up losing over $500,000. The military used the port of Grays Harbor in Aberdeen, May 2007, in Aberdeen to ship strikers. The city was so afraid of protests that it increased security to new heightened levels. Nothing was blocked, but the city spent over $100,000 in security and will no longer accept military shipments. That's a fucking lie. Strikers were coming back from Iraq through the port of Olympia. Over 50 people sat down, forming a human barricade. That the police did not have the immediate power to move after sat. Other activists tied fences around them, creating a strengthening the block. Another group of activists went to the back entrance of the port, where it was decided that a barricade would be built and people would sit in front of it when police came to tear it down. These two blockades started the holding of the port and the stopping of the United States Army for 18 hours. So you just basically, fuck you people. God, if they were under military, if they were under.
This is so about a year, almost a year back when Antifa was really getting into it down in Olympia, they decided to pour concrete on some fucking train tracks that were connected to the lumber industry up here. And I'm just sitting here and I'm realizing, holy fuck, this is not the first time bullshit like that has happened. This is, God damn it, Washington. I'm not entirely. So they're just bragging at this point.
They're trying to brag, yes. They're saying, hey, look, we were freaking a public nuisance and it cost the government a whole bunch of money because fuck them.
Okay, so the goal of port militarization resistance is to end the community's participation in the illegal occupation of Iraq by stopping the U.S. military's use of the port of Olympia.
Illegal according to whom?
Themselves. Oh God.
I love the next one. Smash ice. No human is illegal. I beg to differ.
Huh?
The next page is the next article.
No human
Smash
is illegal.
ice. No human is illegal.
We're not saying humans are illegal. We're saying fence hoppers are. Fuck off, mate.
I'm sorry, but if you're, even if you're a United States citizen, if you were to climb into a military, you would be there illegally. Which is the same premise of illegal immigration. You're climbing into a place you're not allowed to be. You're there illegally.
It really just feels like they're playing a game of almost semantics, because it's not that they are illegal. It's what they are doing is illegal.
Here's the thing. This book was written by a bunch of overgrown children who are trying, and that's basically it. There's just a whole bunch of overgrown children. Buck authority.
When was this written? Like,
this was the 2013 one.
Okay.
Has there been a new one?
There probably has been.
I think this was the most recent one
We
that
haven't gotten a hold of it.
There's the 2013 to 2014. That's what this is.
Hey, You guys are over in Washington, right?
Yeah.
Regrettably.
Can you see if you can get a hold of a 2018?
Disorientation manual.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a bit of a drive, but I could probably make the trip all the fucking way down to
We-
Olympia.
But I go down there a lot, considering.
I think you guys should make this a team effort and go down to Evergreen College and see if you can't get a hold of a 2017 or 2018 Evergreen
This is-
Disorientation Manual.
Okay.
We can see if Mundane Matt wants to come along. he,
Hey, you have a little bit of an in, so
do I don't really know about that.
Hey, I'd
I
like to
don't know.
tour the campus, and I was interested in this disorientation manual.
yeah, but that's not the. Wait, hold on. This is 100%. It's not written in like officially promoted by Evergreen
No,
College.
it's
is
not.
it?
But you can
Oh,
talk
okay.
to the other students.
They might seem a little campy after what just happened this last year. So,
Okay, oh, right. You might want to go ahead and Black Friday or something to do all the asking.
yeah. I'll just go find out.
Okay, right on that.
I'm sure they have it in the
I mean, all you
got
gotta do is go down to downtown Tacoma and say, "Hey, anybody want to go for a ride?"
You're not wrong.
That won't backfire. That won't backfire at all.
I'm sure they have
I,
an updated version in the diversity and equity office or whatever the hell.
It might. Oh, let's see here. What's the next one? May Day.
There's just Mayday.
Hitting a musician in. You can't swing a dead cat without hitting a.
Wait, is this talking about music?
Uh huh.
The Olympia music community and how it's all
Yeah.
punk.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to call it quits here, guys.
All right.
It's midnight for me.
Oh yeah, and you gotta be up in early.
I have to be up in 5 hours. Yes.
Yeah,
Oof.
probably should have.
All right.
Well,
Well, that's it.
so I guess we're calling it here. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for tonight's lock. Myself, Smart Pig 2150, Sergeant Buck, and our sometimes obnoxious program manager Pavros.
What are you talking about?
I'm just fucking with you. We hope you will join us again in 2 weeks when maybe, just maybe, we'll actually be able to have this on the night it's scheduled for.
Good
Thank you and good night.
night, all.
Yeah.